YouTube, Cloverbells here, back with a Series 12 video, and yeah, the moment this is being put out, yeah, it is the new year, and Happy New Year to those watching, and what a New Year gift we got from Pokemon, right? So at the moment the New Year ringed in, we got the announcement, Series 12 rule set was announced, and you guys know me, I really don't make videos like this where I give my thoughts or ideas on the new upcoming format because I like to wait until the day of the format that it actually starts. But this one was just too good not to talk about, right? And this is where all the hype is right now. So if you don't know what the Series 12 rules are, again, you might as well just go on Twitter right now because this is where you're going to see all the teams and all the updates and where all the tournaments and tours are going to be done for Series 12 as far as announcements are concerned. But yeah, if you don't know, it's GS Cup, and that means you can use not one but two restricted bonds on your competitive team, and this is a format that many have been waiting for. Whether or not you want Dynamax with it is another story, but this is a throwback back to Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, where you had dual restricteds, and it's back, but the main difference now is there is Dynamax. So, and now you have something like Zacian and Calyrex Shadow, which is something you didn't have back in 2019, or broken Dynamax moves. So that is the main difference now. And if you think you can recycle some of those 2019 teams, there is a big difference with those differences that I just said. So now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what I think could be very good pairings as far as restricteds are concerned in the early meta, and what I think you want to watch out for when team building. And if you get to the end of the video, I will in fact build you one team to start off with. I usually don't like to do that. I usually like to dedicate whole team building videos, but at least for this one, if you get towards the end of the video, I will build one Series 12 team. And yeah, but before then, let's just go ahead and take a look at what pairs I think are going to be strong. I mean, listen, there's no secret. Zacian plus another restricted is going to be a good team because now what you can do is have something that's really oppressive, like a Kyogre, as you can see in this example, and then just click Water Spout, and then when Kyogre's done, Zacian just comes in from the back and cleans up the game. So something like Zacian, Kyogre, Tornadus is already going to be good because now you have Tailwind support. You just click Water Spout. Zacian with Tailwind is also really good because now Zacian is the faster thing. So this is like, what do we call this? Swordfish? All right. Rain Ogre, whatever. Swordfish is a pretty good name, but something like this is already going to be one of the few first teams that's going to be really good. And then from here, honestly, you could just do like Incineroar. I'm not going to do EVs, but I'm just giving you like some samples. Incineroar, like Regieleki, for example, speed control, and then, just a grass type to have on a rain team, something like Rillaboom. I think something like this is already pretty good. And you know how I like to play. I like, steel types on a rain type of team. So, something like this is very already oppressive. Like, there's, just the fact that you have this raw power of Zacian Kyogre is already quite good. Now, would I necessarily run the 6? Maybe not. I could see myself running 5 of the 6. I would make maybe this could be something like Zapdos with that roost set that I ran with Kyogre Metagross back in Series 11. But yeah, I mean, this is already one kind of team that you could do. Zacian Kyogre is very strong. It's just one of those teams that you have to prepare for. Like, if you're team building, you have to think, how do I beat Zacian, Kyogre, Tornadus, right? That's one thing you have to think about, all right? So now let's move on to the next one. This one, Zacian and Calyrex Shadow. Yeah, I mean, listen, one thing with Dynamax is you have to capitalize off those, Dynamax moves. And in this case, when you Dynamax your Calyrex and you're going for those max Phantasm defense drops, now Zacian, who already comes in at +1 base 170 attack, now has the benefit of, you know, capitalizing off of defense drops. So now you can just one-shot anything, you know. So I think Zacian, Calyrex, you know, with like some kind of Tailwind user, like I put Tailwind, something like a Whimsicott, for example, is already very, very good if you want to play this kind of route. Again, you know, and then just coming in the back with like, you know, Urshifu or something like Rillaboom, you know, just another physical mon to take advantage of those defense drops, because that's the thing that you have to realize, that the difference between this kind of format in 2019 is you have Dynamax moves, and Max Phantasm from Calyrex is very punishing, especially when you have a Zacian that can come in the back and just clean up. You could even lead Zacian and just one-shot things or in the beginning, wait until they have 2 mons left or whatever, and then just bring in Calyrex in the back, and then just click Astro Barrage, Life Orb, and then just win the game. Or just, again, like I said, Max Phantasm. So, you know, you need a Dark Check here. You need Intimidate for sure, again. So, like, Zacian, Calyrex is very, very strong. And, you know, if you have something like a Coalossal that you want to throw in here as well, that's also even more punishing. I don't even want to talk about that yet, but yeah, Calyrex, Zacian is another one that you have to plan for in team build, or even consider using, because it's just so good. And, you know, it's just, other than Zacian, Kyogre, I think this is even better. So yeah, let's move on to the next. Alright, so here's the next pairing. I mean, Zacian, Groudon, Sun teams. Again, just like Zacian, Kyogre, you're going to have to consider Zacian, Groudon, Sun. And Sun was already hard enough with Venusaur and Zard and Grimmsnarl. But now you're throwing in Zacian that can, again, capitalize off of those G-Max moves like G-Max Vine Lash or G-Max Wildfire. Just come in from the back and finish the game. And now Groudon, you know, you can even max the Groudon, and then Zacian can just come in the back and finish the game. So, you know, just like a general Sun team with, you know, just with Zacian, Groudon, you know, let's just do it real quick. Venusaur, you know, of course, this is what makes Sun broken. Grimmsnarl, I feel like, has to be on a team like this, just to control the game and just be bulky, have extra speed control with Thunder Wave or Scary Face, I think is good. And then, you know, something like Incineroar, you know, another good fire type here. And then like you could do something like Charizard for your another G-Max option, or even something like Landorus, you know, another Intimidator, another thing for Zacian. You know, just another Sun team like this is going to be something you have to prepare for, or even consider using yourself. Again, you know, just, you know, you could be bulky behind screens. You know, you could Dynamax your Venusaur, go for that Vine Lash chip, and then Zacian comes in the back, or Groudon comes in the back, and, you know, just finishes off the game. But yeah, something like this, you know, Zacian, Sun teams, I think are going to be very, very strong, because it just commands so much offensive pressure, and then you can control the game and with Grimmsnarl, and then, you know, just weaken your opponent with Incineroar or even Landorus for that matter. But yeah, Zacian, Sun teams are here to stay. And again, Sun's not going away. As long as there's Dynamax, Sun is not going away. All right, I think it's still very, very good. All right, so that's something you have to consider. Now let's move on to what I think is another good pairing. All right, so here's another one. How about Calyrex, Groudon, Sun teams? You know, just like, you know, Groudon generally, well, what do? You run like a Citrus Berry on this thing, right? So you don't have Life Orb. You know, you do have Swords Dance if you run it. Most Groudons do run Swords Dance, but now, you know, how do you make Groudon do even more damage? Well, just put Calyrex on it, Dynamax it, go for Max Phantasm defense drops, and now Precipice Blades, even without Swords Dance, is hitting even harder, assuming you hit. And you have 2 spread moves. You have a Precipice Blades and you have Astro Barrage. I mean, Jesus. Just think of this, you know, Venusaur on this kind of team, again, along with, you know, Incineroar, or even like Grimmsnarl. Again, you know, just this kind of team is already impressive. Maybe have like a flying type like a Charizard or a Landorus like we had in the other one. You know, just something like this is already, you know, very, very good. You know, how do you make your Mons do more damage? Oh, just slap in a Calyrex, and then now Groudon hits like a truck. So Calyrex, Sun teams with Groudon, Venusaur are going to be strong again too. So there's that. Now let's move on to the next restricted that I think is going to be in my opinion, besides Zacian, the best restricted in the format. Alright, now let's go to Yveltal, and somewhere JoeUX9 is watching this and smiling in the background because, this is his mascot, this is his favorite mon. I think Yveltal is the key in Series 12. I really do. And, something like Yveltal Kyogre is very, very strong because, think about this. Again, what does Yveltal do? Now, in a normal team, Yveltal, the way you play this mon, it's a little different than how you would use your own restricted. This kind of restricted Yveltal is good at weakening the opponent. All right, I want to stress those three terms a little bit more. Weakening the opponent. That's what Yveltal does, because stuff like Snarl, okay, and then Oblivion Wing, just suck away their HP, and then Sucker Punch. And then what's the last move that it usually has? Foul Play, right? So, something like AV Yveltal, you can Dynamax this thing, go for a stab, Max Airstream, or the key thing is also the Max Darkness, which results in special defense drops. Well, then you have to think, well, what restricted can capitalize off of special defense drops? Well, how about Kyogre? I mean, yeah, might as well. So, can you imagine something like Kyogre, which already does insane damage with Water Spout, Mystic Water, in the rain. Now you have -1 special defense drops, and now this Kyogre just hits even more like a truck, and that's even more devastating for the opponent because now you could just one-shot opposing Dynamax mons sometimes. So I really feel like Yveltal and a special attacker is really, really good. I don't know if Yveltal Kyogre is going to be like the best kind of pairing. I think it's very, very strong. I think it's like top 5, top 10. But again, the idea is, can you pair Yveltal with something that can take advantage of its Dynamax moves, and something like Yveltal Zacian, oh, I spoiled it, is also really, really good. But yeah, you have to consider something like this. But yeah, let's go on to the next pairing. So now staying with the Yveltal topic, so like what about Yveltal Zacian? And then to top it all off, what about Coalossal? I mean, just think about this. You got something that's very oppressive in Coalossal Zacian, and now again Yveltal can just weaken the mons and be that supportive restricted that it wants to be. Because just again, you've seen Zacian-Coalossal teams before where you had something like Urshifu Rapid Strike to activate the weakness policy on this. All right. Of course, the AV is going to have the Yveltal is going to have the Assault Vest, but then now you're considering something like Incineroar in the back end, more weakening. Yveltal Instant is always really good, and then something like, I don't know, Rillaboom. Just that other grass type that you can have on the team, or this is like, what is it? This is like almost like Wolfie's team, or that normal Coalossal team that had the Galarian Moltres, but now you're replacing the Moltres with Yveltal, and now you have a Zacian on top of that. So you deal your rock damage, and then Zacian just comes in the back and finishes the job. But then you have also your flying type with Yveltal. Sometimes you can even max the Yveltal, get those special defense drops. And now Coalossal, even though you didn't proc your weakness policy, you do have some good damage output because you're a special attacker. You're gonna have stuff like Heat Wave, Meteor Beam. I mean, you're not going to be clicking Meteor Beam if Yveltal's maxing, but you get the idea. Heat Wave is the main move you're going to be clicking, and there's something like Solar Beam or even Earth Power is going to do some damage after special defense drops. So yeah, you could just max the Coal, proc the policy with Urshifu. Zacian Yveltal can come in the back. There's a lot of combinations you could do with this kind of team, Yveltal, Zacian, Cole. So, you have to consider, all right, how do I beat this? I got to have an answer for Coalossal. I got to have something for Zacian. And then you didn't even get to Yveltal yet. And then you just have the boys in the back with Inshin, Urshifu, and Rillaboom, the Fire, Water, Grass Core, to wrap up the job. And again, I'm not doing EVs. If you want me to do EVs, I'll make team building videos, or you can just message me on Discord and say, hey, that Yveltal Zacian Cole team that you showed in your video, how would you EV that? You could just message me there, and I'll give you some pointers. But yeah, something like this 6 or I could totally see in a tour or in a tournament. So yeah, you got to be ready for that. But again, I really like Yveltal here because you got your Calyrex Shadow answer in a restricted in itself. So yeah, consider that. Now let's talk about something like a Reshiram as a restricted. Now Reshiram in itself, it's good against Zacian, but as your own restricted slot, it's not going to do as much as like a Calyrex, a Kyogre, or Zacian. So you need something else to help it out. And I think if you have Reshiram Grimmsnarl, that's already a start. But then what if you add like either something like an Yveltal or something like a Zacian to it? Zacian, Grim, Reshiram, that's a good core to start off with. You got that Dragon Fairy Steel core, but again, Yveltal, that if you Dynamax this thing, you get those special defense drops, and now Reshiram does a lot of damage, and then you could just support in the back end with something like instant Urshifu or Rillaboom. Again, a flying type of Reshiram is good. Just those Max Airstreams or a pivot option into a Max Quake or ground move, just so that it does nothing and you can, bait your opponent that way, is also really, really good. But I think something like Reshiram is good in a dual restricted format, just because in it itself, it's a hard check to Zacian. Even Zacian's stab move is not super effective against Reshiram because, you have that fire typing. So yeah, I really think, Reshiram can go up in usage on a more stronger restricted. As a secondary restricted, it's good. As a main restricted, not as good. But as a secondary, yeah, I like it a lot. So consider that. Just like, something like this. Either Yveltal Reshiram Grim or like Zacian Reshiram Grim, I think is really, really good. So consider that if you want to surprise the meta a little bit. All right, if you made it this far into the video, so again, we talked about some of the easy pairings that you'll see in the early get-go, but what I think is also really, really good is Palkia Zacian. And this is the part of the video where, all right, I'll build you at least one team just so you see what I'm kind of thinking in terms of early Series 12. So the reason why I think Palkia Zacian is pretty good is one, I think Kyogre is going to be used a lot, and Palkia just hardballs Kyogre very, very easily, and then the thing is, there's also going to be Zacian as well, and Zacian doesn't do much to Palkia either. And what it does is it's forcing opposing Zacian teams to have a fairy move. Like, you got to have Play Rough. Otherwise, how are you going to deal damage to Palkia? With that fighting move, like Sacred Sword or Close Combat, Palkia doesn't care about that. And then you have your own Zacian in the back end, after Palkia has done its thing. But in terms of being like a defensive kind of team, this is what I'm looking at here with Palkia and Zacian. And again, now all you have to consider is, okay, how do I support this core while still have enough speed control and answers for everything else? So, here's what I'm thinking here. You got a dragon type, you got a steel type or a steel fairy, and now I want to try and control and slow the game down a little bit, because now you got two restricteds on a team, and this is even more important for something like a Grimmsnarl here. So again, you got this. Let's just move Palkia here, and now just put Grimmsnarl here. So Palkia, Grim, Zacian. I like this kind of core because now you have screen support with Light Clay, and now Palkia and Zacian can just hide behind these screens and deal damage. And there's not too much that Calyrex or Kyogre teams can really do if their screen's set up. So yeah, I really like Grimmsnarl. I think Grimmsnarl is like 10 times important in a meta like this, where there's so much restricted and so much high damage output going out there, and especially with the meta being faster, now you have to slow the game down, and I think Grimmsnarl does a great job of that. And again, this is the secondary mascot of the channel, Grimmsnarl. I like this thing a lot. But from here, where do you go? So I do like Rillaboom here. Just fake out pressure in general is really good, and just something else to have for Kyogre besides just Palkia. Rillaboom is always welcome on any kind of team. All right, and then Incineroar, just so that way I can have that Fire, Water, Grass core, and I get Intimidate just to weaken the physical attacking mons, like a Groudon, another Calyrex, both Calyrexes actually, and then something against an opposing Zacian, because if those Zacians are running Play Rough, Palkia is not going to like that. And Zacian versus Zacian, I want to try and make their Zacian as weak as possible, so this way my Zacian can win the end game, and Incineroar can do that. Okay, and then the secret tech move here in this last slot, I think is Thunderous here. Not the Defiant one, but I think the Prankster one is really good. So we got double Prankster Mon on the team, and what I like with this Thunderous, first of all, let's just make everything level 50. Again, when you're team building, you always want to make things level 50, because otherwise it'll affect your EVs and it'll affect your damage calcs. And I didn't choose the format and when I was doing in Pokemon Showdown because I'm silly. But yeah, anyway, let's just make all of this level 50. Okay, very important. Don't ever EV your Pokemon at level 100. All right, comment why if you don't know why. But again, always do it at level 50. But anyway, so the Prankster Thunderous here is something like, of course, we're gonna have Stab Thunderbolt, and then just Eerie Impulse. You know, just make those Calyrex Shadow teams cry, or make those Kyogre teams cry. And then Rain Dance, I think, is a secret tech here because not only can you increase Palkia's damage output from Max Geyser, but now you can counter those Sun teams and take away Venusaur and Groudon's Sun, take away Charizard's Sun with Rain Dance, and now Palkia and Zacian can win you the game. And what's also good with Rain Dance is you take away one of Zacian's weaknesses, which is fire typing, because you don't want to take a fire move. But if you click Rain Dance, you can take that fire move very, very well. So I think this is a very good tech to have on Thunderous. And then, of course, a speed control move like Thunder Wave is very, very good, which also means, you know, we don't have to run Thunder Wave on Grimmsnarl. We can if we want, but I think Scary Face is very good, just so that you can also spam it, because Thunder Wave you can only click once. But yeah, I think this 6 is really good, at least to start with, just to see what everyone else is running. I think Palkia does very, very well, especially when you Dynamax it. And now you have Prankster Thunderous and Grimmsnarl to help you support it, and then Zacian can just end the game in the back, you know, behind screens or whatnot. So something like this is really good. And you know, other teams are going to be using other Dragon Restricteds, because the Dragon Restricteds by themselves are not so good, but now you add a more dominant restricted like a Zacian or even a Calyrex Shadow, and now those Dragon Restricteds can do very, very well, like what we've done here. But I think if you have your own dragon like Palkia, to remove those dragons, I think that's very, very good. So how are we going to do this here? So I think a Life Orb set is pretty good. I think that's always nice. And then just something like Spatial Rend, Hydro Pump, and Earth Power, and then finally Protect. You can run Trick Room. I don't think it's necessary. I think you're fine with just Protect, especially in a Dynamax format. Now from here, Grimmsnarl, again, I said we were going screen set, so Spirit Break, of course, we got to have a fairy move. Light Screen and Reflect is quite good, so we'll do it like that. Zacian, very standard here, but I'm going to surprise you a little bit. Behemoth Blade, Protect, and Substitute. You know, this is, if you can alternate both of these, especially when there's Tailwind or Trick Room, that'll help preserve your Zacian. And I know you have screens as well, but you know, just to have a little bit of something else to stall those Tailwind or Trick Room turns is very, very good. Now, here's the thing. I think Yveltal is going to be high in usage, and there's going to be more, Dragon Restricteds out there, like an opposing Palkia. So instead of having that fighting move like a Close Combat or a Sacred Sword, I think now this is the time where we can run Play Rough on the Zacian just to have an answer against, you know, an Yveltal or, you know, those other Dragon Restricteds. I think that's important. So this is the time where, yes, now it's time to run Play Rough Zacian. Okay, Rillaboom, standard set here. Miracle Seed, we'll use the same spread that we've been doing. Grassy Glide, where is it? Right there. Fake Out. I still like the drum beating tech. I think that's also important. And Protect. Okay, you could go Wood Hammer here. Wood Hammer is arguably the better move, but I've had some games where the drum beating speed control did win me the game, especially when you can click that on opposing Zacian and now your Zacian is faster. And yeah, and then that in itself is already important. So Instant here. So we're gonna run the Citrus Berry on the Thunderous, which means the Instant, let's have something a little bit more for Sun, and I think the Safety Goggles is the way to go. And this is also good against Amoonguss. So yeah, Flare Blitz, Fake Out, Parting Shot, and Throat Chop. You know, you got to have that dark move against Calyrex Shadow. So I think this is it here. Excuse me. So yeah, this is our 6. So now let's just take a look at how we're going to do some of these EVs. And again, I'll just kind of use what I did with Palkia before. So let's just go modest here. We want to be hard hitting as much as possible. In terms of speed, I think 148 is good. So this way, after a Scary Face or a Thunder Wave, we can be faster than a Regieleki, and then just KO it with Earth Power. So something like that is good. And just almost just go to the third EV bump here in the special attack department. And again, if you don't know what an EV bump is, comment in the video. I feel like I answered that question at least once. But here you see how we're at 218. One more, now we're at 220. So there's that. And then from here, just a little bit of bulk, and then just optimize your life orb damage. So this way I ended a 9 in the HP number, which is 179, just so that I optimize it, because if I go one above, now I cut the threshold. Now I'm taking 18 damage per turn instead of 17, because right here 179 divided by 10 is 17.9, but that rounds down to 17. So now I'm taking only 17 damage per turn, right? So there's that. Grimmsnarl here, we'll just use the same kind of Grimmsnarl here. So just a little bit of speed, so that way we're faster than other Grimmsnarls. And after a -2 drop from something like a Thundurus or your own Grimmsnarl, now you're faster than those base 100s. And then we'll go Careful Nature, just so that we can take those special attacks better, like from an Astral Barrage, Calyrex Shadow, or a Kyogre Water Spout. Let's go, where is it? Right here, second EV bump here. Just 1 point in attack, that's all we need. About 220 investment is what we've always done, and then that magic 103 prime number in the defense department. This is the same Grimmsnarl we've been using in Series 11. I think it works very well in Dynamax. Okay, Zacian here. So the thing with Zacian, because we have a bit of speed control options and we have screens, I think you can do Jolly 252, 252. You can easily just do this and say, all right, I'm done. And this is a fine Zacian if you want to keep it like this. But I want to surprise the opponent a little bit and just go a little bit bulkier with the Zacian. So I'll go Adamant. All right. And I'll just make it at 172 speed. Where is that? Right here. So this way I'm faster than some Cinderace speed creepers. Okay. And then from here, just enough where like I still do as much damage as I would to a I would deal as much damage as I would as a Jolly Zacian, right? So yeah, then from here, just get as much HP as I can to optimize the weather damage from hail. I know we have Rain Dance on the Thundurus, but I still think that's important, just to have enough HP bulk and then still optimize the hail chip. And then from here, honestly, just split up the bulk, just 28 here and 28 here, and this is it. This is a bulky Zacian. Behind screens, I think it's good. And you might be a little bit slower than a Jolly 252 one, but you can win the Behemoth Blade War if you have the screen support. So there's that. All right, Rillaboom. I'm going to do something a little different here. I'm going to be a very, very fast Rillaboom, and I'll show you what that means. Let me just do some math here real quick. Yeah, so here's what I want from my Rillaboom. Let's go, of course, Adamant. All right, max attack, obviously. And then we're going to go to 132 investment in the HP department, where we optimize our grassy terrain recovery, because 192 divided by 16 is 12. So you get 12 HP, a perfect 12 HP recovery from that grassy terrain. Now from here, I want to be a little bit faster. So I want to go to like 120 and just have just 1 point in the bulk department. So after a +1, or even you can outspeed those Groudons with base 120, at least a lot of them, and then just click like drum beating, or even after like a -2 drop from the Scary Face or the Thunder Wave, you can be faster than an opposing Thundurus, which goes to 179. So yeah, I think having a 120 Rillaboom is also pretty good. So there's that to consider. Now for Instant, again, I like my fast Incineroars, so I like to go, again, of course, Careful Nature. And then from here, the first bump is all I want. And then this investment, 236, 4 attack, but more importantly, like this, a much defense. You can live the close combat from a Zacian after an Intimidate. So this is what this HP and defense does. And then finally just have this much speed. So 95 speed is pretty good. I just want to be that faster Incineroar and, you know, get that faster fake out going. And in Trick Room teams, your Incin goes last. So this way you can get your parting shot after they do their parting shot. Okay, and then of course you can throat chop them, throat chop an opposing Incineroar. So this way they can't click their parting shot. So this is why I like a fast Incineroar with throat chop. All right, Thunderous, Citrus Berry, nothing too special here. We'll just optimize the HP like this, but by just maxing it out. I do like a calm natured Thunderous here. Where is it? Calm. And then 156 Spadef is what I want just to get that bump. Yeah, see, look, I went from 130. Now I'm going to hit 132. I skipped 131. And then just the rest in defense. And, you know, this is it. So, you know, we'll just call it Pulvers Palkia Zacian Series 12. See, I think something like this is relatively standard and still pretty good. You know, I clicked the upload button, but it's taking some time to load here. There it is. So something like this, right? Let me make the screen a little bit bigger. I think can do well. You know, you got speed control options with Scary Face, Thunder Wave. You even have Jump Beating there. You got screen support. You have Intimidate. You got double fake out. And then, you know, you have your cores. You got Dragon, Fairy, Steel, Fire, Water, Grass cores. So you got some nice pivot options. And then you have something against those annoying Sun teams. You have that Rain Dance. But yeah, I think overall you got enough tools where, like, can you deal with the top 5, top 10? Yeah. You know, I can see Palkia Zacian being run a little bit differently than this. But, you know, at least for starters, at least right now, on day 1 after the announcement, I think if you want to try something like this on Showdown, I think it's still pretty good. You know, if you want to try it out, let me know how it goes. But yeah, so again, normally I would do a team building video, but and show some damage calcs, but I just wanted to at least put out one team that you can use as a little bit of a thanks for watching this kind of video. But I do want to say we still have a few more Series 11 content to go through. We still have to release the 5 rental codes and showcase those 5 teams that we made towards the end of December for January. And then I have a few collaboration videos that I already pre-recorded that I have to get out as well. So at least for the next 2 weeks, there will be still the last of my Series 11 content. And then the last 2 weeks of January, I'll dedicate all to team building for Series 12. And then, you know, it gives me a chance to take a look at what people are running in those tours that a lot of people are already hosting. They want to burn themselves to the ground with the format, even though it's already day 1. By all means, do that. I will sit back comfortably. I will watch as all those Series 12 teams unfold. I will do my research, and then I will attempt to team build for Series 12 the last 2 weeks of January. But at least for now, with this video, you saw my initial thoughts. You saw what I thought of Calyrex Shadow with those Max Phantasm drops. You saw what I thought of Yveltal with Max Darkness, and then Zacian with Kyogre, Zacian with Calyrex, and Colossal is still going to be very, very good. But yeah, let me know what you think of this team and what you think you're going to be running. And if you want more team building or team fixing from me, again, feel free to join the channel as either a tier 2 sub or a tier 3 sub, and we'll work something out. We'll build from scratch, and yeah, hopefully I can help you out as much as I can. So until next time, have a good one.